Hi, my name is Ken Schwartz of Precise Sharpening, and in this particular video I'm going to be introducing another one of the Nubatama series of stones. This one in particular is quite interesting. This is the Nubatama, as you can see in the symbol. It's in the Bamboo series, and it's the highest grit stone of either the Bamboo or Ume series. This is the 15,000 grit stone. It has this Kanji on it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Kanji characters. You'll also see this marked along the side of the stone as well. It's a very interesting stone. This stone has been in development for some period of time and finally was good enough to be sent out. So without further ado, I'm going to start testing it for porosity, and then after that sharpen two pretty interesting knives. So let's get going on this. Let's try spraying it. Not quite sure what impressions to make of it at first. It does seem like it might be somewhat similar to the 2000 and 3000 Bamboo series stones, but we'll see. Anyhow, let's give it a little spray and see how it absorbs water. Okay, it does absorb fairly slowly, so let's give it a little more water. See how it takes up the water. Okay, so we can see it's starting to absorb over here, So it might bear a little bit of soaking, but this is essentially going to be a splash and go type stone. So let's just run water on it just a little bit. See how it takes to it. I'm going to be doing two knives. The first knife is a fuguhiki. This is a Masamoto fuguhiki. This is distinguished from the yanagis as being somewhat thinner and lighter of a knife. While it's classically specifically for fugu, I find it a very delicate yanagi and use it for general purpose tasks that a yanagi would be suitable for. The other knife is a Nubatama. This is a black steel. This is a paring knife, and while it's pretty sharp already, and both of these are pretty sharp already, I want to see if I can push this just a little bit further. And let's see how this reacts to the steels. So here we go. It's holding its water rather nicely. Let's give it a little drop more and then get going on the yanagi. So this is what it's like initially. It does have some contrast already. Let's see what this feels like. I'll take a little bit of the water off. The stone itself is very smooth, very silky feeling, and let me just work the stone a little bit, start getting a feel for what it's like. I do have a feeling that I will be visiting this stone more in subsequent videos, but let's focus on the task at hand right now. So we're seeing some slight swarf formation, very fine swarf. You can see it on the particle, little particles on the stone. You can start to see some swarf formation in there. Very, very fine. So let's work this a little and slowly see if we can build up a little bit of mud. see what sort of characteristics we get on the stone. Excuse me. Okay, you can see some mud formation right along there. And again, not a very porous stone. Holds its water well. And smooth, very consistent. It's a little bubble formation. That bubble formation is from air under the water seeping up through the stone. It's a fairly hard stone. Not quite sure what to expect from this stone, so I'll be very interested to see what this looks like as soon as we bring it up off the stone and take a look at the front bevel. Okay, let's take a look. We can see the swarf on the stone, very fine metal swarf. And we can see the metal swarf starting to build up in the slurry. So it's not a soft stone. It's fairly hard, although it does generate some mud. I would say that it's not quite as hard as, let's say, a 30K Shapton Pro stone. It is harder than, let's say, a Nanawa 12K Super Stone. It does generate some mud. More so than you might see with the 15 or 30K Shapton stones. And it is a mud that is a combination of both the metal swarf and the stone itself. Again, not a very porous stone, so it holds its water a lot like what you might see with a high-end natural polishing stone. Very smooth. In between my talking, if you listen, you just don't hear any noise from the stone. Touch the back up just a little bit. Doesn't appear to be a burr, although there might be ever so slight burr. The stone does run well with a fairly low amount of water. I'll add a few more drops. And let's look this over just a little bit. Okay, so we're getting a nice delineation between the cladding and the core steel, the Hagani and Jigani. A bright finish. Very sharp edge. I'm going to continue with this, but in the meantime, let's just give this knife a quick test and see what the edge is starting to look like. Okay. Alright, so obviously an effortless slice cut, push cutting, also pretty effortless. Starting to cut right about there. So that's about 2 inches out. Quite the exceptional edge. And even though it's quite exceptional, I'm going to play with the stone a little bit more just because it's so pleasurable to play with. Get some of this paper out of the way. Impression is it's a very hard stone. This is a stone that would last quite some period of time, not wear out quickly at all. Mud is very fine. Swarf is extremely fine within the mud. Microscopic. You really can't see individual particles even with some degree of magnification. This is a stone that will take some more study, but my initial impression is that it will live up to its promise. Feedback is good, surprisingly good for such a high grit stone. You do get good feedback. You do get some degree of cushion with the mud that's present. Not a great deal because it doesn't generate mud very heavily. Yeah, just enough mud. Okay. Well, let's keep going on this just a little bit. Again, the stone works, a little hair right there. Stone works very well at low water levels. So that allows for a nice high grit density in the slurry. Mud is starting to feel a little smoother. Okay, just a pinch of water. There's a hard silkiness about this stone that I find very attractive. It's silky yet at the same time hard. Okay, let's look at the finish a bit more. Okay, so pretty much an absence of a scratch pattern on the hard or Hagani steel. It's rather bright mirror, yet you have very good contrast with the Jigani. You can see the scratch pattern that was previously on there smoothing out. So, unlike the Shapton stones or the Chaucera or Super type stones, the Super stone being a 12K at finest, and the Shaptons being the 15 and 30, you do have very nice contrast, very bright finish, yet good contrast. And the edge is quite exceptional. Okay, let's go on to this knife. Now this is one of the Nubatama black steel knives. I very rarely sharpen these knives, so let's see what we have here. Add a little bit of water. It's a black steel. It's a steel that is a much harder steel to work with from the knife maker's point of view, but what I've found is that it takes very little effort to sharpen the knife, yet exceptionally good edge retention. So it's kind of a contrast or conflict almost, that you just don't see both of those properties going in the right direction at the same time. Usually knives that have good edge retention tend to be very hard to sharpen, and vice versa. And because it is a double bevel, and because of the steel's property, I'm going to take very little time at all. I can already feel it noticeably sharper. So a little bit more time on there, and then let's test it out. Okay, let's take a good look at this, and we can see along the edge, nice bright mirror, about the width of my fingernail overlapping, just less than a millimeter width on the edge. And alternatively, the same on this side. Let's just do a quick cutting test. Effortless slice cutting. Push cutting is very easy, so close up obviously, further out. Let's go over here. I would say that's right about at its limit, about an inch out, just from a quick touch-up. Very nice stone. I'll be using this a lot. I'll probably be commenting on it a lot, using this, possibly following it with either a very high-end natural stone or CBN and polycrystalline diamond finishes after this. Exceptional stone. I would say that you could probably jump, just speculating, from a 5 or 8K stone to this, certainly a 10 or 12K stone as well. Again, thank you very much for your time. This is my initial impression of the knife, of the stone, and I look forward to hearing more reviews, comments, and opinions available at Chef Knives To Go. Thank you very much. Please look in Ken's Corner.